Okay. I don't know why people stalk people who do YouTube videos. I really don't. Like, I've told people I have like a YouTube channel, and all of a sudden, sometimes I get these, oh, bloody hell. I get these frickin', yeah, and it's good publicity, but in the wrong, yeah, it's disconcerting in the least. The only good news is they gave us this big old straightaway to blast away from him on. Oh Lord, Ghost, you might want to back down on power. I missed a corner. Alright, turn. Blast up this off. Well, no crap. Ow. Oh, come on! Oh my god, why? Of all the vehicles he could chase me with, that thing... Ugh, I'll never lose him. Yeah. Yeah, I can't outrun that. He has both the top speed and acceleration on me. Koenigsegg. That's alright. It's kind of hard to tell the Zonda from this thing. Oh, for fuck's sake. Talk about blinding someone. Like, seriously, the guy can't drive, which I can give him credit, he's trying. But creating a bloody smoke, oh lord, smoke screen for me and you is like...
Season tickets are now available.
Okay, a ghost, follow me in at the same time. Oh, there you are. The stalker has left the building. But you know, as soon you know what's bad. As soon as we spawn in on the map, he's going to be on our ass faster than you can say, "Oh, fuck."
A sweet ride, isn't it?
I don't know. That's what I can't tell. People say, you know what's funny? People say the McLaren is fucking Italian for some damn reason. Ugh. Oh, that's new. Oh, fuck me. You know what's bad? I know a cheap hypercar, and it's called not the Porsche. Well, that or a developer, because they have a tendency to do that from time to time. Just for shits and giggles. Yeah, oh fuck, I pinballed off a pedestrian. Oh, bloody hell. I had to brake because you really threw me. Oh! And of course I'm gonna be, oh. A ghost. You see where I just went? Easiest way to get to first place. You know why? They have to go around that corner. I didn't. If you go on the opposite lane, you can get the easiest way to get up here. That's why I did it. That's why I did it. Because think about it. They have to go around that corner to get up here. I didn't. Oh. True. Either that or they're always putting them in the goddamn way. And that's true about most things. I will say, at least this thing doesn't have the top speed problem that my Celine does. You know what's funny? I know. You know what's funny? I humiliated the guy who had this car with a Celine S7. And, well, you won't believe what other car I used. It gave me the option to use another street car to beat him. I was able to use my KTM Crossbow and my Celine S7. I humiliated him with the Crossbow as well as the Celine. I will say the traffic issue up here is a little bit annoying, but eh. It's been a while since I've played this. Ah, again. Oh, fuck me, that was... Ugh. New physics. I hate it. I hit a water puddle and it made me lose a bit of top speed because my tires were slipping. That's disconcerting. I can't see shit either because I'm in this fucking F1 doesn't have fucking headlights. So trying to see where the fuck I'm going. Like, yeah, like the F1's headlights are so small, they're like non-existent. Fucking S-Class. There's... What the fuck? My... Yeah, pretty much. Oh, fucking... What the hell? Cars normally don't take this road. What the F? They don't take the straightaway I usually take. Ugh, they've changed the dynamic. Thanks. Not that I'm complaining, but... Took you forever to get past her. You know what's bad about the fucking bus? Fuck tour bus. Though I know, and I'm sorry about that. The only good thing is, whatever the fuck he's using cannot keep up. I know. At least you're in a position. Don't worry about it. I think I got this, because the Celine would have a problem with this. McLaren, however, not so much. Oh my. No, I went airborne, and I bottomed out hard. Like, I hit the ground twice as hard as a normal person. Right. Scary, more like it. Oh, by the way, I'm also getting another game. Spin Tires Mud Runner. Nobody has that game, which really upsets me to a degree, but oh lord! There's a lot about off-roading that I know that most people don't think I know. Like, for one, I know how the wider tires are supposed to help. They don't. The wider the tire, the bigger the footprint, but there's a problem with that. Not enough traction. Because, you ready for this? The stock tires that the vehicles have are military grade. They're designed to go into that terrain without a problem. I don't care if those other tires are supposed to change the handling. I'm sticking with bone stock. Thank you. Here's why. First off, the stock tires keep your ground clearance. You need ground clearance to to do most of the things. 2, the tires are what make the vehicle handle. Now, I understand that most people think that the other tires are supposed to help. They do on other surfaces, not on all. The wide tires are guess where for? The wide tires are for swampy areas, not for mudding. They're designed to go through swamps that have literally no mud, nothing but mud and rocks. You know? That's why I say if you're... Yeah, I noticed that. But the thing that pisses me off is that people think that the other tires are supposed to make your car better. They don't. What they do is they just make it easier to sink the damn thing. Yeah. Not only that is, you ready for this? When the mud gets on the stock tires, you have the traction to climb out. When you do this with the mudding tires, not so much. That and I actually know how to off-road. And you want to know how to off-road? I'll give you a hint. When you're going into a mud hole, switch to low 1. Duh. The lower your top speed, the more traction you get, because your tires are going to be digging. You want to dig. You don't want to dig a rut, but you want to dig at least until you're out of the hole. Don't go into high range in a mud puddle. That's like asking for your truck to stall out and get stuck. That's why I normally switch to low 1. Because it's easier. That and I know how to avoid mud. It's called go into the woods successfully. I guarantee you, when I get the game and I start playing, I'm not going to hit a tree. Because you want to know how many people I've... Go ahead. What's it say? Yeah, he's... I'll get him in a minute. I've got to... We got to finish this race first. I mean, that would be understandable. You know, we can't just add him because we're not doing anything. We've got shit to do. Like, we... Yeah. That and your fucking Lamborghini's not exactly built for this track. You want to know what's funny? I actually know what terrain that car's built for. Ovals. That thing should actually be it actually should be a hypercar in relation, because it's not built for like the streets. Because one, it doesn't have tags. 2, it's not exactly got perfect steering. Son of a bicha. You know what's funny? I've actually gotten a joke. Now, this is funny. Me and my buddy were playing World of Tanks recently. Now, take this into consideration. I was playing around with that T-29 monster. I actually found out why the tank is so crap when it comes to penetration. Like, on its armor. The armor plating actually does affect the freaking... It does affect the penetration on those guns. Because, think about it. They have to go through that fucking expaced armor as well as the tank's standard armor. So, unlike most tanks, you just go straight through it, whether or not. It's a 50-50 you're going to pen, 50-50 you're not going to pen. It's all down to relation of the side armor thickness as well as the armor thickness. It's alright, I went into the dirt. The only good news is you know what's funny? I've put all my points in evasive driving as well as off-road handling. So if my car goes off-road, I barely lose any speed at all. I know, but you know I've got it because think about it. I've got this bloody handling file from hell, and I'm playing this with a steering wheel and a gear shifter, so I've technically got full control over my vehicle, which by the way is very difficult, I will admit. You know what's funny? I also found something out about the American wildlands that most people don't know. First off, I know it's fun to use the Western Star, but if you're going to do a street one, I know how to get the load to the one that's on the road. You'll actually find it funny. I actually can get one of the only rear-wheel drive only semis off-road successfully, without a hitch. I know how to do it. Guess how you do it? Well, you have to, first you take a Jeep. Now, you listen. What you do is you take a small vehicle and you find like where the ground is hardest. So like you go around off-road until you find like where your tires aren't sinking, but they're not exactly spinning. So you find an area of the ground that is hard as a concrete rock, and what you do is you mark that in your mind that that's a perfect crossing area. Then you bring the big rig there, and depending on the weight of the truck and where you are, how bad you're gonna sink. Most people don't know that. I do because it's common physics. And if you need to get the truck out, use the Western Star to tow your other truck out. Duh. Like, I don't know why people don't think of that. It's just common physics. Oh, that's my friend. Can't hear him though. But the thing that pisses me off the most is like people say the game's impossible. Like I've actually heard 3 different people on my friends list say that game's impossible. With me being a redneck that knows everything about off-roading and knows the physics behind it and all the traction needed, I guarantee you, if I would have had the game and they were playing with me, they would never get fucking stuck. Because we rednecks have a few techniques to not getting stuck. It's common physics. Like, sure, your rig's gonna get stuck in some locations, which is understandable, right, a ghost? As well as where the fuck you're trying to go. Like, I was asking one of my buddies where he went to get his truck stuck as he did. You want to know what he did? He tried to take he tried to take one of the semis, one of the old Russian ones, through a tree line. He got it wedged between 2 trees.
Sucks.
How the fuck he managed to Austin Powers it in between 2 trees is another thing. How the effing hell did he do it? Come to find out, you want to know what happened? Mud. The mud made him slide into the spot where he was stuck. You want to know how long it took me to get him out of that spot? A whole 2 seconds. I told him to winch onto a tree on the other side of him and to just winch, move forward as fast as possible, and then winch again. He did it his way and it got stuck even more. So he decided, you know what, here. Gave me the controls. It took me 5 minutes in total to get his truck unstuck. Get it out of where the fuck he had gotten it stuck. Get it to the location he wanted. Load it, and then get it the fuck back. And on a whole 5, 10, 15 minutes. It's what most people don't think is. I think out of the box when it comes to my mind. So what I did is, when I was thinking on how he got it stuck, I thought on what could possibly make the truck get stuck in that position. How to get it out of said position. How to prevent it getting stuck in said position. And how to comprehend and turn in relation to said position. Now, you would think that's a lot to think on someone's mind. But with me, that's like a 5-second process. It's like, got it. That's how long it takes me to figure out stupid positions and stupid glitches and shit. That's how long, because I think outside of the box. Hell, there's a griefer on GTA 5 that uses a teleportation glitch. And you want to know what's funny? I've mapped out exactly where, as well as a couple other YouTubers, exactly the teleportation glitches are. That's how bad I know the game. There is a corner road up where I'm at, so I would be careful if I were you. No worries. Oh, bloody hell. Oh, that's funny. That happens most of the time. You know what's funny? I was actually looking at a guy who plays Need for Speed Payback. Guess what he managed to do? He managed to get Max Big Rig in a race with Natalia Nova. You know what's funny? The semi was fully maxed out when he raced her. The turn radius was shit, and he admitted. But he still kicked her ass. Because you want to know what those semis can do that most cars can't? Only certain cars can take 3 shots of nitro without blowing an engine gasket. The semi, if you super built it, a super semi, you can hammer that nitrous bottle as much as you fucking wish. The truck will just shrug it. It won't care. And yeah. You know what's funny? That's actually true, and that was actually a wartime thing, and I thought that was funny as hell. Seeing two German tank crew members hopping around, one on the other with shoulders, the one hopping on one foot to figure out the ground solid. Like, think about it. Think about the Russian army when they see 2 crew members hopping around on one foot trying to figure out where the ground is solid. I know, and you know what's funny? I'm thinking of what the Americans would have thought if they would have saw that. I would be thinking the Americans would be going, "What the fuck are they doing? It looks like they're trying to see if the ground's solid." What the fuck are they doing that? They don't know. The British would have just... what they would have said would have been fucking golden. Exactly my point. Like, and you know what's funny? That still is used today for some of them. I don't know why.
Hey, mad22train, I got a question.
Sure.
Is trying to copy someone's voice being racist?
Not really. Why?
Because this dude. Okay, so I was playing with my friend, and these two other dudes jumped in, and we all 1v1. Well, my other friend, she jumped off into another team. So I jumped off to their team, and then I started copying this Australian boy's laser beam, dude. And legit, this dude flipped, and he said, "You are being racist."
That's not being racist. I know what's being racist. There's a thing between racism that people don't fucking understand. It's if you're using it in a certain way. It's if you're using it in a certain way. If you're just copying it and not making fun of him, yeah, without being discriminating, it's not fucking racist. If you're using it in a way to make it racist, yes, that's racist. But you have to be doing something to make it racist, because it won't be. Like, you could make fun of the Irish and you can say anything you want, it won't piss us off. I guarantee you. Because you want to know why?
Why?
Laddie, we don't give a fuck. You know what's funny? I'm actually Irish. Hard to believe it. Like, that's how I can do that. So when I get mad, that's Irish rage. That's not America. That's Ireland coming out. And you know what's funny? I can actually drink Irish whiskey and it doesn't give me a phase. That's how bad. Standard. Exactly. And you know what's funny? Irish whiskey, the Celtic honey my mother has, is 100 proof. 100 proof. So that's 100%. Yeah, that's 100 proof. No, there's a certain level 100 proof. That's a certain one. Like, if it's like 150 proof, that's deadly. But I think if it's 100 to 90, it's not lethal. Very inebriating. It is toxic. I noticed. And you know what's funny? I was reading the ingredients on the bottle. That thing's got 100% corn grain in it, as well as a little bit of honey. Yeah, you can. No, what it is it's grain corn. It's like grain in like whiskey form. Like, you know how they do that, right? Yeah, and imagine that with corn, because you can do it. Because you want to know what the what the rednecks called it? White lightning. That shit puts hair on your chest. That shit is 100% proof. You're about a mile behind me, actually. I actually saw you. I'm on the mountainside to your right. And you know what's funny? I love how people say 100 proof is lethal. It is to an extent if you consistently drink it, but if you take a fucking shot, which is just a small cup of Irish whiskey, that's 100% proof, that's not lethal. If you drink the whole fucking bottle, that's lethal. But who's gonna be dumb enough to drink from the... You know what's funny? You could say that, and you want to know what my uncle had? My uncle had the equivalent to 50 of them. Like, you know the thing that takes out the liquor? He could drink an Irishman under the table and still be sober. No, he had multiple versions of them. Multiple. He had 6. I don't know how many, but he had a lot. So he could literally drink you under the table, look you straight in the eye, drive away without being intoxicated. But when you gave him a breathalyzer, he's f***ing drunk. Well, considering he had a multitude of them, and the doctor went to get his heart and pulled out one of them, that was, by the way, black. That was a dead kidney. Yeah, that was a dead kidney, and it fell out in his hand. His heart wasn't on the correct side either. It was actually in the middle. I don't know how the fuck it was there. My family just called him the alien. They just called him the alien because his organs were not in the same position. Like, you could look for his heart and you would find a kidney there. You would look for his gallbladder. It would be somewhere else. I know, and that's a hell of an evolution because liquor does nothing to him. That or a very fucked up genetic deficiency that, you know what's funny? He lived for guess how long?
How long?
He was 70 years old when he finally died. 70. A guy that could drink beer non-stop. Literally, he drank nothing but liquor all day long. That's how fucked up his system was.
That's just messed up.
And you know what's funny? He could drink a bit. You ready for this? I was afraid of him at one time because he drank beer, fired up a chainsaw, and cut a tree in half. While highly drunk. No, what we had, like, my Aunt Kathy had a tree fall down in the backyard and it had destroyed the fence. Like, it had damaged the old fencing and my Aunt Kathy wanted to fix it.
He's trying to be a savage?
Well, he was a savage till he passed away. So I guess it did work eventually. But anyway. And the funny part is, you ready for this? I go, how are we going to cut this? All of a sudden I see Uncle John walk up with a bottle, with a thing of whiskey, like a thing of beer, sits the beer can down, pulls the chain on the fucking damn chainsaw, fires the damn thing up, has it idling, drinks the entire thick can of beer, throws it over his shoulder, and then starts chopping away at the stinking tree. And you know what's funny? My Uncle Lewis says, that's the definition of a redneck. Drinks a fucking... highly drunk. It isn't. It isn't. But I thought it was funny because think about it. My uncle, drunk as fuck, like literally, he would be stone drunk, like, you know, borderline walking around funny, but he walks around like a normal person. You wouldn't tell he's drunk. The only way you would be able to tell is, you ready for this?
So, he would get away with it and the police wouldn't even care.
Pretty much, because you ready for this? They tried that 3 times. They actually gave him a breathalyzer. He did all the, you know, all that police stuff perfectly. Without fucking up.
What?
He didn't fuck up because he was so drunk. It said he was drunk, but he walked around like a normal person without a problem. He got away with it.
What?
It's just...
Hold on. Did they say that the breathalyzer was broken?
No, they said there has to be something wrong with his bloodstream. And the funny part is his wife says, he's got God knows how many fucking kidneys. This shit doesn't faze him. They went through his medical records to find that out. Then they just gave up. Because trying to arrest someone who was walking and talking fine, but highly intoxicated, but still, think about it. Exactly, because think about it. They couldn't do anything. Sure, he's drunk as
That's
fuck,
crazy.
but he's driving normally. Exactly. And you want to know this? He was doing all the turn signals correct, driving like a sane person, even though he was drunker than a skunk. I was blown away at this.
That is just crazy.
And you know what's funny? I went to school and said, and you know what's funny? A guy had it on screen in one of my schools. Like, he was saying that this guy got away with it. You know what I yelled? That's my uncle for you! That's my uncle. Drunk as a skunk and still sober. And you want to know what the teacher said? He's not your uncle. I told my mom to call him. She calls him, gives him the phone. You ready for this? The teacher goes, "Who is this? Are you saying I'm not human? Are you saying I can't do it? I'm drunk right now sitting on the sofa watching football. The fuck you want?"
Oh my god.
And you want to know what he said? Are you the no, listen. Are you the uncle of Michael Maples? Yeah. I am. And you ready for this? He puts it on speaker. I go, "Hey, Unc." "Hey, Mike." That's how the conversation went. I went, "Hello." He goes, "Hey, son, be good." Like that. And you would think the teacher would be just... He had no words after that. And you know what's funny? My mother at one point, like, the teachers kept pissing her off, so she sent my uncle to pick me up. The drunken uncle, just to piss him off. Like, you ready for this? Officer Acton pulled him over, gave him a breathalyzer, and said, "I could easily arrest you." He goes, "No, you can't. I got diplomatic immunity, bitch." And he said it so perfectly. He even explained all the laws front to back. Off the top of his head while highly intoxicated.
What?
Officer...
Is he even a human being?
He was!
That's so freaking cool, though.
And you know what's
How
funny?
can he do that?
I don't know. My uncle was just crazy. Hell, at one point he did marijuana.
Yeah,
Even that didn't phase him at one point. I don't know what the fuck was up with my uncle's genetics, but he could do whatever you couldn't do and it wouldn't fucking phase him. Like, sure, it would say he's highly intoxicated due to his blood level, but my uncle would just look you straight in the eye and say, "Do I sound intoxicated?" You could only tell that shit by his breath. That's how bad it was. I just called him Uncle. Mental. And you know what and you know what my teacher asked?
crap.
What the fuck was his genetics? I said, "Ask my mother. I've forgotten." He calls
my
my
God.
mother, and you want to know what my mother did? She listed every single thing that was incorrect about his genetics, including where his organs were, front to back. You want to know what my teacher said?
Holy-
How the fuck is he even functioning? His organs are not in the correct position. She said, "I don't know, maybe his body said fuck the correct position. I'll put him wherever the fuck I want him. And how many I need him."
He
Like-
must have had more than 6 organs.
He had at least like 5 or 6 like 40 like 5 or... He had like a lot of kidneys. Like, it was like fucking insane. Like, whatever takes away the liquor from your blood, he had a lot of them. Hell, with that or the liver. He had a multitude of them things. Like, you could go through his anatomy. Like, you could literally take him to a science school, and they would still be baffled.
What?
That's how fucked up my uncle's genetics were. Like, literally. He was the only one in the family that had that genetic setup. And you want to know when he was born? September 1955. born in the 1915s. That's how old he is. Like, I was literally... My uncle was born before I was. You know what's funny? I was born in September 3rd, 1995. My uncle was born before me. That's how dumb it was. And it was 9 pancreases. And he was born in 64. That's from my mother's mouth, by the way.
Oh, tell her I said hi.
Okay. You have to admit, you have to admit, boys, that's baffling if you want to say the least. Like, 9 pancreases in one person, and yet he can get drunk as shit and still be straight-faced.
But how does he get pulled over and get away with it? That is just
Well,
amazing.
think about it. Think about
Like,
it. They give him all the sobriety tests, and his blood level says it, but it's based on what he's doing. I mean, he drives like a normal human being, for fuck's sake. I mean, even though he's highly fucking intoxicated, he's still not causing problems. Hell, my uncle's never gotten into a fucking accident. And that says something.
Dude, like, if I was, like, legit, like, my eyes are blown, my head is blown, it's just weird.
I know, and you know what's funny? All I can tell you is, it's my uncle. Because that's all I can say, because my uncle's my uncle. Hell, you want to know who we thought was going to die first in our family?
Who?
The uncle that drinks beer non-stop. And he didn't. The one that died was the other one.
That's just weird.
I know, and hell, half the doctors couldn't figure that shit out. They just gave up. But I don't blame them, considering they can't figure out why the fuck he's drunker and shit and still straight-faced, and yet he can drink an entire bottle of whiskey, look you in the eye, and say, go fuck yourself, like a normal person being without slurring. It's just baffling.
Did he say that to kids?
No, not really. My uncle was actually, surprisingly, not that actual mean. You would think someone at that drunk level would be fucking rude. Actually, my uncle was actually only rude to those who fucked with me.
Whoa.
Like, you ready for this? I had an uncle in my family that had a tendency to piss me off and scare me. He threatened me once, and you want to know what my uncle did?
What?
Threatened him with a shot of beer in his hand and a chainsaw in the other. Texas Chainsaw Massacre style. He's mean.
That is like Friday the 13th right there.
I
Mess
know.
with JC, you gonna
And
get
you want to know
killed.
what he said? He told him,
What?
you ready for this? If you ever threaten my grandson again, I will personally make sure you disappear and there ain't nothing they can do to find your ass. I know, and you know what I said? My uncle looked at me and said, what do? I said, do as he says and leave me the fuck alone.
Oh, that's funny.
I mean, my uncle may be mean to an extent, but he's only mean when someone hurts me. Which is a loving uncle, even though he's an alcoholic. So that shows he's still got humanity, even though he's drunker and fuck.
That's actually lucky. You have like a uncle that actually cares about you, but he gets super.
Yeah, and you want to know the worst part of it? I never got to say goodbye to my drunken uncle. Because he died, like, before I could, but at least he died as he was, drunker than a fucking skunk. And you know what? Old age, I guess. Hell, considering how many times he had medical difficulties, it's like fucking insane. Where are you at?
Me and my friend call ourselves mental. Because we basically are mentally retarded.
Well, no. I'll give you a downside of how mentally disabled you have to be called that. My friend Shylin has a sister. Now take this into consideration. She is borderline. She can't do anything herself. At all. That's mentally retarded. When you physically can't do anything yourself, that's when you get called that. Medically.
No, like, we don't say it medically, but like, we'll say we are because like, we do not, like, we will like, not know what to do at all.
Yeah, which is understandable. I mean, that's all down to how you respond to things. Hell, people
so,
say...
like, we'll be playing school. We'll be playing in school. Me and my friend Damien won't even know what to do. We will legit sit down and legit get on Fortnite and play all day.
And you know what's funny? When a guy... Now, take this into consideration. When I was in middle school, I was in a shop class. Now, look, everyone built their dragsters stupidly. You want to know what I did?
Oh, you built it. You built it. Really.
Okay, I built it. You ready for this? I made it sleek. Like, it was the size of a pencil in the middle, so I saved on weight. You want to know how fast the damn thing went?
What?
Let's just say it beat every dragster in the fucking school. All the classmates couldn't beat it. You want to know why?
You are a master miner.
And you ready for this? I can build things that most people can't. Like, you ready for this? Take this into consideration. My teacher had a Buick GNX National in the classroom. This was when I was in high school. It had engine trouble. You want to know what I did? I walked up to it, diagnosed the problem, figured it out, reworked it, got the engine running in under 3 seconds. You want to know what was wrong with the guy's car? The stupid son of a bitch put the fan belt on backwards. And had the engine in... No. That's not the worst of it. He had the engine in backwards. The transmission was facing the fucking grill.
Oh my god, how stupid are they?
I don't know, but you want to know what I did? I just picked it up on the lift, whipped the engine around, put it back into position, reworked everything, and got it running. I literally looked at my teacher and he said, "Did you mess with the Buick?" I said, "Go ahead, turn the key." Turns the fucking key, it fires up like nothing happened. I did all the wiring myself.
Dude, you are freaking dumb. Like, I swear to God, my dad would be amazed if you actually worked on, like, my dad's our van, because, like, not like van, but, like, we used to have a van.
What was wrong with it in particular? Just tell me what it sounded like and I can figure it out.
No, it didn't sound like nothing. We didn't have no air conditioner. Basically, we got it from the shop because my great-grandpa...
Sounds like the heater core it sounds like the air conditioning harness failed, as well as the air conditioning cooler, which means your engine was only running on its standard power, which meant your air conditioner probably had minor problems due to the fact that the motor was only able to power everything else but the air conditioner, due to the fact that the motor and the air conditioner were not connected electrically correct. In other words, the air conditioner was connected ass backward, which meant nothing worked. And that's just from a speculation. To be brutally honest, it sounds like your air conditioner was either not hooked up properly or the air conditioner just failed completely. No, it goes. Tell me that wouldn't be the same thing said by a motherfucking mechanic. Like, a mechanic wouldn't tell you that. But I do know. And it's all down to how I know things. Like, look, most people think us autistic people, some of us, are the same. I'm going to put this out there. No, we are not. Every autistic person has their own own mindset. And I will tell you this. I think differently. I did. I did. Fucking hairball. Damn. I accepted it. He didn't do anything yet. By the way, a ghost, look what I did to my Indian chief. Hey, Billy, what game are you playing?
Need for Speed Payback. But, I think soon I'm probably going to have to, get ready for school.
Okay.
Yo,
Hey, Ghost.
I just beat my friend. I just got 270.
What do you think?
On the jump. On my GTR.
What bike is it?
Yo, the KTMs? Yeah, they're faster.
Yeah, he has to have a certain KTM. I have the Red Bull edition. That's why my bike was able to beat him. Yep. All you have to do is modify the engine heavily. Like, I'll show you how freaking modified mine is to beat him.
I'm hitting an Ace off-road drift.
Hey, Ghost. I'm in my KTM. Alright, look. Watch how mine handles. Look at this. If you go into your set... Oh, there's a crate over here. Perfect. A Ghost, you ready to do some crate sniping?
So I hit 187. I just need to hit 190.
Billy, you're gonna hate this. In cars in this game can go up to 300. Yeah. Heck, you can't get this car in that game. The Bugatti Chiron.
We have Audis in this game.
Ghost, are you getting the beeping as well? Well, my crate's over here. It is. Up, and I found it.
54 yards. I need 80 or 90.
Probably did. So, Ghost, I'm guessing you're probably going for this. Am I correct? You want this thing. By the way, this thing, look at how easy this thing is to fly. You know what's funny? Look at... I know. And you know what's funny? This is a Need for Speed car I made for, well, this is actually a car I made for, the new movie, Fast and Furious. You want to know what this car is based on? Corvette. This is one of the old ones. This is the old one. This isn't the only Corvette I got. I'll show you the other one. Now this one was just made for shits and giggles.
81? 181.
What do you think?
Yeah, guys, I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna take a shower and just get ready for school. Okay.
Okay. Hey, a ghost. You want to know what's the easiest race I can do that could get us easy 80 grand? It's a motorcycle race in Las Vegas. It'll give us 80 grand, and if we do it at level 280, we get 94 grand. So we're traveling to Las Vegas. Ugh. Fucking hairball. Ow. You know what's bad? I'm gonna drive there on my Harley, my upgraded one. Now, I wish I could use the other bike I have, which is the Indian Chief you saw. Because, well, it's the Indian, but I have to drive this thing. There's a lot of them, actually. There was actually a police skin for the Hummer. To believe it or not. What do you think of the Harley? You need to buy one of these. This thing is actually the cheapest bike. Dude, you know what's funny? We could, you can actually take the fairing off of this. Hang on, where are we going? Which way are we going? Okay, good. I didn't have it on my map, so I had to go down to, like, get it to pop up. You know what's funny? A guy actually made a guitar out of fucking linguine. Like, he made an entire guitar out of noodles and Legos. Back down on power because we got this corner. We got this corner up ahead. You know what's funny? You sound like Mario when you do that. But dude, do you want to know what's good about these bikes that you can do with these? When you fully upgrade these, you can actually race them in standard races. And these bikes have better handling than the cars. Like, look at this. And you know what's funny? You know those corners you can't make with some cars? Bikes can get away with it. And you know what's funny? If you ride it on the Harley in first person, you got a good view. I don't know how much this will cost you, but you need this. This bike is actually pretty damn fast. Bone stock, I could do 160 on this. Whoa, what the... What the bloody hell? I got hit by a BMW X5 in my lane. I guess. Oh, Ghost, you have to admit, that was stupid. Like... You know what's funny? They would actually do that. You know what's funny? Oh, dude, I forgot to mention. You know what they found out in the river today? There's a guy on YouTube that's rebuilding a guess what? A panther. A panther tank. And you know what's wrong with it? The turret was destroyed. Oh, it's not that bad actually. It was cracked. Yeah, cracked. Had a small crack in it. It was sunk in a river. Like, it wasn't even fully in the water. It was actually in the mud, stuck in the river. I don't know. No one knows because they can barely find like the person who owned the tank or was using the tank died, so they can't exactly find out who it was, so they can't exactly, you know, figure it out. You know? They did get the number. They did get the number. They did get the number. It's actually one of the first built tanks. Definition. Yeah, it had the weird Panther turret. But it had a good engine. No. It had a good engine in it. It was one of the Panther prototypes that actually functioned without a motor problem. But it was sunk in a river, and, like, they couldn't figure out what happened. No one knows what happened. You know? It's alright. It didn't have a hole in it. Like, it didn't have a hole that made, like, sense. Like, you know, a bend, a dent, anything. It didn't have any damage from, like, war fighting. So it hadn't been shot at. At all. Well, it got stuck, so I'm assuming they scuttled it, and when they scuttled it, didn't exactly detonate correctly. They tried to scuttle it, but you know what's funny? The tank was intact. The turret was just bent, cracked, but not even destroyed. None of the tank was damaged. The turret was just cracked. Oh, and did you know the guy also has a Krupp steer? You know the half-track motorcycle? He has one that works. Switch to your dirt bike and start trying to get it, because that's something you need to beat the guy. I would save up the rest of your money and buy the Lancia Delta. One of the Lancias will do you. One of them. I'll follow you. You know what's funny? Look at the Harley. It has no problems with this. No, I'm just following you. The helicopter's good at doing that. Is that where it was? Good. Good, good. Nice. You know what's bad that really upset me? When we were burying my uncle, which by the way was the one who had a Harley, guess what we had to sell to pay for the burial? His Harley Davidson Heritage Softail Classic. That hurt. Hell, I got one of the saddlebags from his bike. Dude, it is solid leather. That saddlebag is borderline solid leather. Hang on. How the heck am I gonna introduce a famous movie stunt with a moon and a bike? Duh. There's no way in hell I can do that on this. Maybe a dirt bike, but not a Harley. They really should have chose a better place for that. Like, they should have put a ramp in the woods somewhere. You know? I've been looking it up, yeah. I still don't know what it means. It hasn't coming up. Dude, and you know why I like motorcycles in this game? You can cruise. If you hold the trigger down just barely in a Harley, you will hold one speed easily. I know. Yeah, I hear all of it. Yeah, and you know what's really worse? Ferdinand Porsche did that with the Kugelwagen. You ever hear of that? The Kugelwagen. That was a standard Volkswagen Beetle. And you know what's funny? Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, because he used a Volkswagen Beetle. And you know what's funny? It was actually a good design. And considering he also made a super tank that literally was never put into production and was destroyed, or supposedly. You know what's bad? The Americas did something worse. They put Chrysler in charge of making a tank. Guess what they made? A nuclear-powered tank. Yeah, if the tank gets destroyed, it nukes an area. What the fuck kind of idea is that? Chrysler. No, dude, Chrysler... You know what's funny? Chrysler put that thing out there. They wanted to make a production of it with a small nuclear reactor. No! It was shut down because think about the destruction that could cause. One, the tank is ammo racked. It becomes a small nuclear bomb. Like, why? And you know what's worse? There's a blueprint of that bitch still out there. Dude, Ghost, what I want you to do is look up Men of War and watch Baron Von Games play with the Chrysler nuclear-powered tanks and watch what happens when one of them gets one shot. Take into mind, he has multiple versions of this little bugger. Multiple. And guess what happens? It chain reactions into the rest of them. Think about it, if you have a platoon of them things and one gets ammo racked, that's gonna set a chain reaction of multiple of them things going off. Yeah, and you know what's worse? That mini nuclear reactor, when it goes critical, it's not a small explosion. Yeah. You want to know how fucked up they made Men of War at that point in time? It killed so many people and chickens. You want to know what the only thing was that was surviving from the explosion? The GW E100 Waffentrager that destroyed it. That was the only thing living. Only thing that survived the detonation. The Rot, yeah, they made that in War Thunder as a game mode. It's a mod, but it's, I'll say this, it has, let's just say, if you fire that big turret, you can actually kill multiple tanks in one shot. Hell, they have the Sturm Tiger as a mod. You know the Sturm Tiger, the one that has that big-ass 300mm ATGM? That thing can one-shot a mouse tank. And it doesn't, and you ready for this? The shot doesn't even have to land near the mouse to kill it. He doesn't even hit the mouse directly with the ATGM. The ATGM hits the ground and it blows up. And it destroys the tank. Uh-huh. Yes, but think about it. If you put that on tank treads and you put that into battle, think about the destruction that thing could cause. That could win a fucking war itself. No. You want to know what I did that actually got War Thunder's idea? Now, I was just designing this for shits and giggles in Kerbal Space Program. I took a modded USS Missouri in the game, put it on tank treads, and made it an orbital, like a land cruiser, with 18-inch main batteries. You want to know how bad that was in Kerbal? I had a friend build it and play with it in multiplayer. He murdered every single person that came close to it. You couldn't get 100 yards near the vehicle before it murdered them. No! The firepower fired so fast and so far away, it was able to artillery barrage them before they even got the idea of getting close. Yeah. Or secondary guns that could aim downward to fire at a close range to get rid of military brigades, like people in platoons chasing it, trying to AT grenade it to disable it. You know what's funny? I made it to, you want to know what's funny? My buddy also drove the, what we called the P-1000, we called it, you ready for this? The USS Land Missouri. It was able to go in the water and drive on land like nothing. You would need the you know what's funny? The tank treads actually used the same motor that the propellers were using, but it had an independent driving system. So it made it to where the propellers would spin when it touched water, because it would have a switch in the cab to flip the switch to turn from propeller power to tank tread power in a split second. That's what he's wrong about. Think about it. Instead of using it as, you know, a large battle vehicle, Have that motherfucker sitting in the back line, in the sidelines, very far away. Think of the destruction those 18-inch guns could do at long range on land vehicles. You know what's bad? I actually designed a tank that will scare you. Oh, hey. Imagine the Carl Garot mortar. But instead of one mortar, it's a land ship of a multitude of them. 20 Carl Garot mortars firing at once.
3.
That thing would rain hell on anyone. I mean, didn't you know how big the crater was from when one of those shells hit the ground? Well, let's just say, you know those big skyscrapers that Russia, or big buildings that Russia used to have? One Carl shell took one out. Good God, right? One shell put a crater this... You ready for this? The crater was so big, a small T-34 could get stuck in it. It was the size of a small tank. And you ready for how thick the 8P shell was? The 8P shell could go through 200 millimeters of concrete and reinforced metal. Technically, they nicknamed it the fucking Bunker Buster. You want to know how many people it would take to fire the bitch? It took 40 people to fire the bastard once. Once. No, the Carl Garot mortar. The Gustav had more, but that one was able to fire constantly. The Carl did not. Because the amount of force was used to fire that mortar shell out of the barrel at high velocity, the barrel would be red hot by the time the gun stopped firing. But you know what's scary about that, Carl? Russia actually has the mortar. The living mortar. They have the mortar and its shells. No, they have it in a museum, but they're thinking about putting it in battle. That thing can launch shells. Guess how far? 40 miles away is how far that mortar can fire. They could fire that from the museum, and it would hit something. And imagine the destruction from that shell, because guess what? They found a building that has, guess what? The AP, the high explosive mortar. They have all the shells that the mortar had from a massive factory that was constructing them. That thing was not just a wonder weapon. That was a thing that put fear in anyone. Because you want to know what that thing had to defend it? Tanks, anti-tank crews, tank destroyers. That thing had the whole shebang defending it. That had enough armor to push back anything that came close to the Carl. That's scary. Dude, that was the fucking Carl's idea. You want to know what that thing did? It actually scared the Russians to not fight it up close. Because, okay, think about it. That thing has a -7 gun depression. The shotgun blast from that alone would destroy 400 people in one shot. Imagine an entire squad of Russian military charging it. And the thing just does, you know, the World of Tanks thing. Shotgun! Imagine the shotgun blast from that monster. You want to know how deadly the high explosive is? The fucking the shockwave from that is enough to destroy 4 houses in one shot. You know what's funny? That thing was on tank treads. And it could be moved by rail. You know what's scary? The motor was a Maybach. It had 4 of them moving it. Yeah, and you want to know what's worse? You want to know how thick the armor was on that monster? Good luck penning it with APDS. 400 millimeters of frontal armor at a distance. Why do you think it has 4 Maybachs moving the bitch around? You want to know how many of the monsters they had? 4! They had Thor. Every mortar has a name. You want to know which one Russia has? Thor. The one that did the massive amount of damage. That's the one who took out an entire Russian battalion. That monster. What do you think did that huge crater? How big was the crater? I'll give you a hint. How big was the hole in diameter? Size of a small tank. Oh, good lord. That was the Carl that hit them. That was the Carl. Mm-hmm. And you know what's bad? The other reason he didn't explain? 2 words. Carl Mortar. He didn't want... Think about it. He didn't want his platoons trying to get close to that monster. Because all it would take is 1 shot and everyone's dead. That mortar is enough to murder the entire Russian army in 1 shot. Not only that, the fear of losing the fucking war. The high explosive shell that monster fires is like the size of a small bomb. You know the bombs that that were dropped in the really big ones, the 1,000-pounders? That's how big the shockwave is from that mortar's shell hitting the pavement. Yeah, that's how big the blast is from 1 mortar shell. Yeah, the Germans already built something to crack open bunkers. The Karlgrad mortar. Hell. Nope. That is a misconstrued concept because that thing had 14 different anti-air vehicles protecting it. Good luck getting close. Flak 88s. Kugelwagons. Fucking Kugelblitzes. That thing had the whole shebang defending it.
Hey, Matt Drake.
That's if you could get close due to the anti-air that thing had. That thing had its own... Yeah. That thing had its own squadron protecting it. No shit. But could you imagine... No, think about it. Did you notice that half the bunkers Russia had were destroyed? They weren't doing that to just protect the mortar. They were knocking out key points. One of the bunker... No, listen. One of the key points was a ammunition dump. The shell already did. It took out half the ground when it hit. And that was an AP shell. That was an AP shell. That had no explosive mass in it. That was only designed to dig a hole. I'll give you a hint. You want to know what tank scared people away from it? The Karl mortar. That was a 600mm mortar. Yeah, that wouldn't scare anyone. If you brought the Karl out of hiding, gave it a better engine, better armor, better defenses, and more ammunition, more people, could you imagine the fear that monster would throw? Dude, that thing, you want to know how far away it was when it hit the ammunition dump? 4 miles away. And it hit the thing straight. You want to know what's funny? That thing hit the damn thing directly. The shell landed directly on top. Perpendicular. Like straight up and down. You want to know how big the recoil was? Well, let's just say it had to be on metal hydraulic legs, because every time that bitch was fired, it would shockwave the pavement. Like, every time it was fired, you could feel the ground shake. When... It worked for the Germans. Or you have it work in tandem with an electric motor. We have a lot of those hydraulic electric motors nowadays. Oh, by the way, you want to know what's bad about the Karl? I was watching a video of the mortar firing. When it hit the building in question, it took not only the top of the structure out. That monster hit it so fucking hard, the building collapsed. And that wasn't even a direct hit the mortar did. The mortar was half-assed aimed. Take that into consideration. The mortar wasn't even aimed correctly, and it still hit the building. What? I think I actually came up with a better one when I made mine. I called it... What was it? Oh, yeah. I called it Land Cruiser. Because it's technically a Land Cruiser. Yes, but the German design had a bogey system to handle and cop handle to cooperate that weight limit without actually bottoming out the tank.
Is this science class?
No, we're talking about wonder weapons.
Hold on.
And
Didn't the Germans use P-40s?
Yes, I think they used no, they used other tanks, but the vehicle we're talking about is a wonder weapon to scare the fuck out of the enemy. The Germans did it with a Karlgarat mortar. The shell the size of a small house. That's how big the damn shell was. The thing also hit like a 2-ton brick.
Wasn't there a bombing called the China bombing? China bomber?
Yeah. That was when that's Hiroshima. That's when we Americans bombed Hiroshima. If I remember. That wasn't a mini nuke. That wasn't a mini nuke, by the way. That was a Castle Bravo. That was a Castle Bravo. The uranium one was actually the fucking fat man. The plutonium one was actually the little one.
Hey guys, if anyone messes with America, North Korea's like North Korea. We have North Korea on our side now.
I'm just gonna say this, considering we've got fucking nuclear missiles aimed everywhere, I'm pretty sure no one wants to fuck with us, because one of them, I'm assuming, has the same nuclear detonation cord of the fucking Fat Man. And I'm pretty damn sure no one wants to be hit with a Fat Man-sized explosion. That's a 15 megaton explosion. That's enough to level a city. Yeah, U.S.'s fucking weapon was called the fucking Little Boy and Fat Man, as well as the Castle Bravo. The Castle Bravo scares me the most is because the Castle Bravo was actually designed to be a bunker buster. That was used improperly. But I'm gonna say this. Oh, go ahead.
This is kind of science class.
Yeah, and I will tell you this. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, but it would be too big, but think about it. It had the same Maybach, it had the same engine as a fucking battleship. So that engine would be able to counteract the fact that the tank weighed like, oh my god, I don't know, tons? It's not like the fucking battleship-sized engine would not be able to move the damn thing. Well, that's my problem. They had actually already scrapped the fucking Bismarck and took the turret from it, and think about putting that on the fucking line cruiser. Could you imagine the Maybach with a battleship turret? Good lord. They wouldn't even been able to stop it. You want to know how long it took when Fly Daily tested that tank in War Thunder? It took the enemy 3 hours to kill the monster. And there wasn't just one. There was 4 of them. Yeah, 4. Could you imagine? 1 is bad. 2 is scary. 3, overpowered. 4, that's go big or go home.
Hold on, guys. I'm gonna go get breakfast.
And you know what scared me? Ghost, I never thought I'd say this. I watched his tank. It had dual 88mm guns in the back. You know what his tank was able to do to one T-34? Or one of our American tanks? His tank fucking one-shot them. The dual... Go ahead. It was unstoppable. It took him so long to, like, kill one of them. The other two had already raffle stomped the rest of the army. Like, it had Kugelblitzes as secondary defense. And you know what's... Yeah, that was in a game, and it was in realistic mode. You want to know how long it took to kill it in realistic? Let's just say they couldn't kill it. They tracked the behemoth, but they didn't stop it. Because they may have knocked out one track, it had 4. No, because, you ready for this? It stopped it, but here's the problem with stopping it. The track, the crew compartment actually goes to the track mechanism. That means they can remove the linking. They can remove the linking entirely from that one bogey system and just drive on the bogies. And you know what's terrible? It took, guess how long to repair the track? 5 seconds. 5. You know what's bad about that also? Guess how thick the armor was in the side of that monster? 487 millimeters thick. That or a battleship gun the size of the 88. The 18-inch gun that was used on the motherfucker. And you know how far... You want to know how far those 18-inch guns could fire? Ballistically, they were changed. So when he fired one of them, both shells exited 2 different barrels. And you want to know what happened to the tank that was unlucky to be in the middle of that? He ammo racked 2 M1 Abramses in one singular shot. A ghost, I think you went the wrong way. Oh yeah, I'll wait for you. I'm about to buy that new Porsche to test it. But you know what scared me about the Carl and that Land Cruiser? When I was watching Fly use it, this is what scared me. He took a hit from an Abrams. You want to know how much damage the rock took from just one Abrams shell? It didn't even put a dent in the rock. And you know where they hit it? The gun mantlet. And it fucking bounced. And you ready for this? That was an APCR shot that hit the fucking mantlet. Look above you. I would switch into a boat if I were you. Yeah, just use that.
Self-kills only challenge.
You know what's worse? The building that tank was being built in, they actually, the Russians did find remnants of the monster there. All the metal, pretty much all the bogey system, the whole shebang, was in that hangar. Pretty fucking much. Hell, I had the Bismarck turret on a fucking crane.
See, this is a dude that I was talking about.
Remember the sister ship? The Tirpitz?
So hot.
Oh, they didn't. It didn't sink. They scuttled it in the dockyard and took the turret from the Tirpitz. Well, it is accurate. They sank it in the dockyard. The problem is the dockyard wasn't even fucking deep enough to sink the damn thing. They turned it into a mobile gun emplacement. That's all they fucking did. Luftwaffe. Duh. Is that what you're yeah, pretty much. That would be funny, though, to try that, considering the Japanese made a plane made of nothing but paper mache. Yeah, no, that's... Don't laugh at that. You want to know how many people that thing could carry? The entire Japanese fucking army. One airplane is all it would take to get all those men to one location. Ghost, did you find your thing? You know what's funny? This thing is always sitting at 100% power. The helicopter. So you don't actually have to push the throttle. And look, I'm not pushing the throttle at all. Look at this. It's a saver, isn't it? And look how stable this thing is in here. You know what's funny? I can teach you how to fly this thing. Because you want to know what's terrible? I've gotten so good at this, I've never crashed it at all. Like, me and my buddy were playing around. He was in his helicopter smacking into trees and such. I didn't hit a single fucking tree at all. Hell, I was flying through the woods at like 15 feet off the ground, not hitting things. Incoming. You want to know what I thought was scary about the rot? Think about it. 400 millimeters of frontal armor charging the American front line. There's nothing in the world that could fucking stop it. Pretty much. And if the battleship is you ready for this? A battleship where it was, you know the Battle of El Alamein? Imagine the Battle of El Alamein instead of with Tigers only. Imagine with 4 rots, a garrote mortar, and all kinds of manner of weaponry. The German army hiding their Tigers behind the fucking rocks. The whole army behind the rat tanks as it's marching forward. Yeah, the biggest fucking shield that cannot be stopped. You want to know how many crew members? It takes 40. It takes 40 people. 6 in the turret, 2 in the back to fire, you know, the dual 88s. 2 in the Kugelblitzes because there's 3 of them. So, imagine a rock tank facing the entire Russian army. Yeah, but with what? They would fire a fucking ATGM at it and the damn thing would bounce. The right tank could run the damn thing over. You know what's funny? Fly Daily actually went to crush like some Russian tanks. It crushed a BT-5 all the way to the IS. You want to know how much damage the IS withstood? It had a broken transmission, both tracks were thrown, and the turret drive was fucked. The tank was disabled. That would just raffle stomp, definition raffle stomp, running over the enemy. But in the long run, that thing would be one hell of a tank to stop. It would take not only the Americans, the British, the Russians, and whoever else to fucking stop it. You know what's funny? There's no door. The door is 15 feet off the ground, and there's no ladder. I'll give you a hint. Fucking staircase movable. That's the only way in it. And if there aren't any of those things around, there's no way in hell you're gonna get in the damn thing. You would have to no offense, it would have to be the Americans, Russian, and British suiciding their aircraft into the damn thing to stop it. Yes. Yeah, and you know what's bad? It wouldn't take all of the Americans and British to kill it. Remember the British had that Wellington that could fire, that could drop the, oh, I don't know, the bunker buster? You know, that damn buster. What if that damn buster can go through how much concrete? Imagine that fucker hitting one of the lawn cruisers. Nope. You land that motherfucker directly on top of it. Guess how thick the armor is on top? 260. But it's flat. And a fucking big ass bomb to end it. That wouldn't disable it. You know what's funny? Fly Daily was actually testing a Wellington versus that. The rat, he dropped a cookie on it. Guess what happened? The turret was blown clean off. That's not the worst of it. You ready for this? All the metal on the rat had damage physics. It had ripped the rat in half. Cleanly. Jagged, clean. You want to know how big the blast was? It had, guess where the ammo rack was? In the center of the rot. You land a bomb. Yeah, and if you land a shell directly and or a bomb on that, you want to know what's wrong? He bombed it. Guess how many tanks were destroyed around the rat when the rat blew up? He destroyed an entire 40 battalion of tanks with one bomb. Just from the rat detonating. Pretty fucking much. So not only did the rat go kaboom, everything around it went kaboom. But they were you know, it's funny, the Russians were thinking about building the KV-6. The KV, imagine the KV-5, KV-2, KV-6. Okay, imagine a KV-2 with 252 millimeters, a Katyusha rack, 3 KV-1 turrets, 2 T-25 turrets, autoloader, by the way, sitting on top of a massive KV-1 chassis. That's the KV-6. No. That thing had a Katyusha rack. You want to know how many guns that is? It has 3 KV-1 turrets, 1 KV-2 turret with dual 152s, a massive Katyusha rack, and 2 small anti-air turrets in the side, in the middle of the tank. It's 3 KV-1s, 2 small anti-tank turrets, 1 KV-2 turret with dual 152s, and 1 Katyusha rack. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 turrets. Four-man in the KV-2, remember. KV-2 has a 4-man crew. Yeah, that's a lot of crew members. Let's just say that's definition a shit ton of Ivans. And considering the fucking truck following the damn thing around. That or they would have to do what the British did and have a fuel tank trailer directly lined with the back of the tank to increase the mileage. Yeah, that would be overkill. You want to know how much the Rat's fuel tank was? Size of a battleship. Yeah, a whole battleship. That's how big the damn fuel tank was. Let's just say that tank could go to the British line, kill everything, then retreat without a problem. It would be like the Carl Gustav on... Imagine the Carl Gustav coming to your doorstep, murdering everything with a shotgun blast, then retreating like nothing happened. And the Rat has 2 18-inch guns, 1 200mm in the hull front, 3 Whirlwinds, and 2 88 turrets in the back, which are mouse turrets just mounted with 2 88s. Yes, but not as heavily armored and not as heavily gunned. You know what's funny? Imagine the Russians building a KV-2 turret on top of a Walker.
Oh, God, Decker. I'm not. Bye, guys. I gotta get off. I gotta go to school.
Alright, go ahead. Did you hear me, Ghost? Imagine a KV2 turret on top of a walker. Sorry, I'm trying to follow the map and... They really need to change it. No, it's not that. It's... I can't see the fucking waypoint. And making it not only better, they've made it also faster, heavier armored without the effective armor of, like, adding weight to the vehicle as well as the armament. But what they have done is they've added spaced armor that acts just as like armor plating. The only difference is it's destructible and can be removed on sight. That's scary. Oh my god. Oh no. I just had one hell of a scare. I nearly gave myself a heart attack. Imagine the P1000 rat remote controlled. Not only that, could you imagine that tank roll up? You think there's a crew in it? You shoot everything on it. You go to enter it and it self-destructs. Like, what the actual fuck? Like, I know people think that Russia and America are stupid when it comes to their tank design. I have to admit, the M1 Abrams is an idiot. Go to your P1. I know, but the road we're on is not exactly safe.
Hello and welcome to a fabulous day of racing.
Corners. Yeah, pretty much. But the scary part is, could you imagine the P1000 rat remote controlled running into the Abrams? That's just fucking scary. Now, go ahead. Oh, fuck. Yeah, and it made it remote controlled and made it impossible to fucking kill. Yes.
3, 2, 1.
No shit. I hope he's dead now. Okay, we're gonna have to follow. We're gonna have to follow the AI because this is where shit starts to get stupid.
Driver, that's the car.
Back down, back down, back down, back down. Go ahead.
Come on, come on,
Or he had an identical twin. Exactly. I think it lied. I think he did have a brother, but his brother was doing some things that he wanted him to do. In other words, make the Allies think he's dead. That's scary. I hope that didn't get to... Oh no, not that thing. Oh no. I've actually seen that in Baron Von Game's Men of War Mondays. If you watch it, one of those rockets can flip a tank over. The V3. It's the same thing as the V2, but imagine the V2 with a bit more explosive payload. That's the V3. And more fuel, and a better propellant. Okay. You know what pissed me off about the Japanese, though, that really annoyed me? Well, them forcing our men to, like, do things differently than us, and we made their men feel comfortable. We treated their men with fucking respect, and they treated our men like shit. And you know what's funny? Some of their men actually stayed in the United fucking States because of that. They probably didn't feel too good about that because how we treated their men. Because you ready for this? When their men returned, they said they were disgusted with how they treated us. Pretty goddamn much. We Americans aren't as bad as people make it out to be. Exactly. Oh fuck. Ah God. Hey, a ghost, I got a hint for you. When you get to here, just do what I just did. Oh. Yeah. And the funny part is, we didn't force them to do anything. Exactly. And the funny part is, when they get nuked, they say they woke up the sleeping dragon. That's what they nicknamed the That's what they nicknamed the United States. Because think about it, they named. Go ahead. He was right to be afraid. We fucked him up. Like. But no, he lets it fucking happen. And then what happens? All hell breaks loose. Well, at the time it would have worked if the fucking Japanese had a common sense fucking men in fucking office that knew that we had already kicked the fucking Germany's ass and we were not in the fucking mood. And then when they started doing that and started throwing us into a war, we just said, you know what, fuck this shit. We've had enough. And we give them the Castle Bravo. That's what showed them. When we nuked them with the little boy in the Castle Bravo, we told them straight up with those two bombs, go fuck yourself. And stop this nonsense. No, we bombed them at the same time. We bombed them both times. We nuked them twice. The first bomb, you ready for this? That was the Castle Bravo we dropped on one of their islands. That's when they said we won't give in. When we dropped it in the center of their fucking main city and nuked their main base in the fucking city with a little boy, that's what knocked some sense into them. And when they did, they had, you ready for this? Their city was in fucking ruins and nuclear fire. Yeah, Japanese don't want to fuck with us now. They would rather be on the giving end of the destruction, rather be on the fucking receiving end. And I do not blame them. Yeah, and when they took, I don't think anyone could dish out, oh, we could take it and then get nuked and then go, mercy? I mean, hell, in the United States, you want to know what that nuke, you know what's bad? The Americans pretty much, when they said mercy after we nuked them, we said, we're all out of fucking mercy. Give up now. Fear. Actually, the Americans had more. We had 3 Castle Bravos, 4 little boys, 2 fat mans, and a goddamn gadget. Yeah, the gadget bomb, by the way, was still in production. We had the others. The gadget, we had 1. But let's just say the gadget was the worst of the lot. Let's just say military videos that are actually fucking accurate. Yep. There's actually a TV show in America that went around disclosing all the classified info. Hell, this'll scare you. We accidentally dropped a bomb on our fucking self, an atom one. And by the way, that damn thing is still active. That's not the worst of it. The damn thing hasn't even been detonated yet. We don't even know where the fuck it is. No. No, that's not what happened. Listen, I'll give you a hint. We had a plane testing one of our new bombs. You know, the weight and all of it. It was not a fake one like it had been tested previously. This was the real deal. It was payload. So, we had another fighter plane out and about. The fighter plane actually collided with the bomber carrying the bomb in question. No, that's not the worst of it. It took out 2 engines on the bomber, and one of the engines was barely hanging on. The bomber had to ditch the payload in order to fly back to base. The plane was destroyed. No, this was a jet bomber. I don't know, but what I do know is the bomb is somewhere in the United States underwater. The good news is, at least, it didn't activate. It's in safe mode, but let's just say bombs, water, safe mode, how long's the safety gonna last? The problem is, that's not the problem. It's the depth. The bomb's not that deep. We don't know. We can't find the damn thing. We have a fucking team searching for the damn thing. It's in, I'm gonna give you a hint, it's in West Virginia somewhere. Yeah, but it's in sand. And the bomb's been there for that, and that's not the worst part. The bomb's been there for like 6 years. It's been there for a while, so we don't know how much damage the bomb sustained from the impact, let alone the impact to the water. It was low to the water. The bomber had suffered so much damage, it was actually losing altitude just trying to carry the damn thing. But the bomber was losing altitude at a fast pace. No, it's not, because have you ever heard of the skipping? Yeah, and that bomb wasn't exactly shaped like a bomb. That was shaped exactly like a dam buster. Could you imagine that monster bouncing and skipping? Yeah. I'm scared of the implications of that because I don't know what bomb it was, but I do know it's not a small bomb. I know it's not a thermobaric. I know it's not a nuke. It's the worst of the lot. Let's just hope either the bomb eventually runs out of power and stops functioning and is safe enough to get to because of where it's at. And yeah. But not good news if the circuitry is damaged already from the impact of the plane. And it was already ticking. Well, here's how it was. Here's how the thing was set. They said the way this bomb would have to be detonated is the payload would have to be introduced into it via a mechanism. But the payload is hidden in a little object in the bomb. But it has to go into a certain location on the bomb for the bomb to be active. The pin in question that is holding the payload in question wasn't exactly twisted. In other words, the bomb was dropped as a neutral explosive. Not as active, but not exactly not detonatable. Kinda name. But the good news is they do have a specific location to where the bomber flew. They know where the bomber was. By the way, you want to know how bad the bomber had suffered damage? Okay, the wing was completely fucked because the engines were hanging off and not functioning. To add insult to injury, the tail took an impact. Yeah, they lost rudder control as well as their engine power. Especially one of that nature, because that was not a nuclear. That was a thermonuclear bomb. Competent enough to handle an explosive at all. And the worst part is, it had to be a thermonuclear, one that could literally level a city in one detonation. Yeah, and you know what's worse? That's in the river. Somewhere near somewhere in the United States. Problem is, that's not normal or nuclear power that thing's running on. Yeah, we ended up making another power supply for them fucking things. So, I'm gonna give you a hint. Have you ever heard of, what was it? Newton? Okay. Apparently what we did was we made a bomb that runs off of a different source of a nuclear. But it's been... How do I put this? This thing has been highly fucking used. So that means it's in its pretty much most explosive state. So imagine nuclear radiation in its purest form. Pretty fucking much. The only good news is not active. That is, if we find the thing sooner or later. I will say this, I'm afraid because I'm in Tennessee and that bomb is a little close to home. Yeah, but you'll hear the bang. I'll say that much. If that thing does go off, you'll see the shock. You'll actually see the mushroom cloud. That's the worst part of it. This thing ain't a tiny explosion. That thing's a big one. Well, from what they said, the bomb was already not on, so it wasn't exactly active. What they did say is the payload was in the bomber, but they didn't exactly introduce it into the nuclear power system. So the bomb's technically not got nuclear in it. But it's not exactly not active. It's still able to be detonated, it's just not going to be as big. Yeah, and you know what's funny? The pilot got reprimanded for that stupidity. I think the bomber pilot should be given a medal for not nuking the United States. Yeah, because you want to know how fucked up the plane was? Yeah. They couldn't fix it because one of the engines had actually fell off. It had, you know, it had, here's how it was. It was one of those bombers that had the engines too close together, but it had multiple of them. So imagine a bomber losing one of those engines, having a massive hole in the wing, massive structural damage to the tail and the control system, and having one less engine to fly. It was a prototype of the B-50, but yes. But at least it was a prototype of the bomb that was dropped. And thank God it has not detonated. Yes, but I'm still not happy for the idiot that slammed into the bomber. How fucking stupid do you have to be to smack into a bomber that's literally carrying nuclear payload? No. He knew there was a plane flying in the area. It was at night. But here's the problem. Especially with his plane having electromagnetic interference. What, for fucking up the world's best fighter plane and nearly nuking? I don't... Well, he did well, the problem is, he could have gotten a medal. Problem is, he fucked up the jet in question. They had to replace 2 airplanes as well as try to find a nuclear payload. That we don't even know where the fuck it is at this point in time. I guess time will tell when we find the damn thing. You say that. You want to know what's funny? Kids found TNT in a mine. Oh no, that's not the worst of it. This is the pre-war TNT. This is the real deal that had nitroglycerin introduced. Sweat from that kind of dynamite will blow up. No, the kids are actually playing with it. They would have to be calm and collected, and no, this is not the bomb we're talking about. This is another thing that happened. Apparently, kids had found now this was about in the 15th century, I think. You know, really old dynamite that had nitroglycerin. The kids are actually fucking around with it. They accidentally detonated it. And this dynamite was so old, a sneeze could detonate it. Hell, the sweat dripping off the dynamite in question was enough to cause an explosion. Because you ready for this? You could wipe your hand down it, flick it at a wall, and it would blow up. Good news. I have the Porsche 911. Meet me at the off-road dealers. Okay, I'll send you a picture of it. See you tomorrow. Take care, buddy. Take care. No problem. Just pray that we find this damn bomb soon enough. I hope so, because that is one bomb we do not want detonating. Goodbye. Whew. I'll see y'all guys later on the channel. And remember, if you want information about anything that I can possibly give, I'm more than happy to help out. And if you need money in any game that I have, I'm more than happy to accommodate. Remember, as always, stay calm and keep those wheels a-rolling. I'll see y'all later.